guys, my brain Cater coming to you. How's everybody doing out there? Peace and love to everybody out there. Coming to you with another comic review. Don't mind the TV. The noise. Watching Back to the Future too. Classic. Um, Basically, guys, I'm here to give you the comics for this week. If you don't mind. So I have a total. I have 2 independent, a few DC, and a few Marvel for you guys. Alright? So let's kick it off with IDW, and we'll kick it off with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles number 13. Um, this story takes place right after issue 12. The Turtles and Splinter have just dealt with Oroku Saki, the Shredder, of course. Now you see Karai on the cover. Yeah. So basically, this picks up right where that left off. The Turtles are pretty much, having a good time. They're trying to get over what happened in the last couple of issues. Splinter is just really meditating. He's really not really kind of grumpy in a way because he realizes that what happened between the Shredder, it's not over. It's not over at any cost. And the Turtles, he realizes that his sons are not ready for what's to come. And he realizes that. On the other side of town, we have, basically the Shredder telling his granddaughter Karai that she's not ready. She's not ready to be a leader and everything like that. And he even proves it. He proves it to her. She goes on to talk about how, while you were gone, I was doing this, and he just belittles her in a way. Baxter Stockman has been taken by Krang, and also in the other sit, Casey Jones' dad has beaten up on him again. And Casey goes to the Turtles, and that sets Raphael off to put some justice on Casey Jones' dad. And it ends right there. I don't want to spoil too much. I spoiled enough for you guys, but something happens between Splinter, because Splinter goes after Raphael, and Casey Jones' dad. That was the kicker at the end. But once again, Kevin Eastman does a great job telling a good story. And as always, it's going to be sad to see Kevin Eastman leave this book very much. But TMNT 13, very good stuff. Oops. All right. Next up, we move to DYNAMITE, and this is the Bionic Man number 12. Very nice cover by Alex Ross. Basically, it's what it looks like, guys. It's Steve Austin, the Bionic Man, versus Sasquatch, Bigfoot himself. Um, yeah, I know it sounds funny, but yeah, it's true. Steve is asked by his girlfriend to help her friend find her daughter. He goes, he finds her. Her dad has a restraining order. The little girl's father has a restraining order against him not to come in 200 yards from in front of his wife. He kidnapped his daughter and brought him to this this almost like this area where they're like this prohibition anti-United States like army. Steve jumps in and just pretty much, was like, look, I'm from the government. You want it, so just put your guns down, things like that. And he pretty much leads him into that. He saves the little girl, and then comes into contact with the elusive Sasquatch himself, but with a twist to it. And it kind of leaves, it's a vicious fight between Steve and Sasquatch that leaves Steve Austin without an arm, pretty much. But this is only part one of the story, so I want to see it, where's this going and everything like that. But yeah, Bionic Man number 12, still good. Phil Hester does a good job on this book. All right, so moving on to DC and Batman, The Dark Knight number 12. David Finch does the artwork while Greg Hurwitz does the writing. So I caught up on this book. I read issue 11, and I gotta say, Scarecrow, my God, came off almost certifiably just terrible. And pretty much, yeah, trapped by the Scarecrow. Yeah, we get to see a little bit of Scarecrow's past in this book. Not only what Scarecrow has, what he's doing to Batman in this. It's crazy. There also is a ascension of, in this book also, that Scarecrow captures Batman. I'm gonna spoil that for you guys. And Scarecrow goes on to tell Batman that he couldn't remove Batman's cowl. Now it is shown that Batman has some kind of contraption like that keeps his cowl from coming off his mask. So I'm like, okay, that's a little interesting. But yeah, Scarecrow is just seriously twisted in this. You get to see his basically his backstory and his origin in this, and it was crazy, very crazy. But next month is the year of the zeros, and we gotta have to wait to issue number 13. But yeah, this was good. Really enjoyed it. All right. So moving on from Gotham City, we move on to the Scarlet Speedster himself, the Flash, number 12. Only the power of Glider can stop the fastest man alive. Francis Manapul basically takes us and shows us that the rogues have something up their sleeve. All of them, they're coming out of the woodwork. Every one of them, from Mirror Master to the Trickster to Pied Piper, you name it, they're coming out. But unfortunately, Glider is kind of like the one that's pulling the strings a little bit. She's the mastermind behind this. And they pretty much set Flash up very, I have to say, very lovely in a way. She's able to move kind of at this, not very fast, like nobody can see her. While Flash is, he was even saying at one point, he's like, I'm vibrating at superhuman speed so nobody can see me. And how is she not being seen? And it's almost like he's lured by her, like in a daze. Like he's like, oh my God, she's so beautiful, and things like that. But what she does to one of the she does is crazy, and they pretty much set Flash up, and they pretty much are setting up Captain Cole too. We kind of get a notion of that as well, is to showcase that in a sense. Um, but it's going to add up more in the annual that comes out next week, which I'm looking forward to reading, and how Flash is going to get out of this. The setup they did was crazy, but still good. Next up, Green Lantern New Guardians number 12, The Great Lie Exposed. Tony Bedard, Tyler Kirkman. Uh, Everything is exposed in this issue, from why the rings came to Kyle, why the group was set up, everything. And I don't want to spoil too much for you, but the point is that uh see, I don't want to even spoil it. You just got to read it for yourself. But it's very tragic, but in a way, in a sense, you can kind of say why it was done was because of what happened to Ganthed and love and everything like that. But also, when you look at it, it's also kind of selfish, no matter what. Um, but yeah, everything is exposed in this. Is it done in a sense of like, okay, this is over? Maybe, in a sense, but it does kind of give us a little bit of closure in a way, but not too much. But I don't want to spoil too much what goes on in this book. You just got to check it out for yourself. Green Lantern, New Guardians, number 12. Alright, so moving on. We move on from Guardians, New Guardians. We move on to the Man of Steel himself, Superman number 12. I caught up on Superman as well. The last issue, Superman traveled to Russia to find out what was going on with a submarine he had saved, a Russian sub he had saved in a previous issue, I believe issue 9. And there he found out that the Russian government was trying to make a Russian version of himself. They kidnapped an alien from another world, and they brought him there, and they kept him hostage. And pretty much this is where it leads up to. That alien fought Superman and left him, beat up Superman. Yeah, beat him up. Because Superman didn't know what he was getting into. But in this issue, we get to see that Superman, you may get him one time, but this time he's ready. He was ready for the alien this time, but he found out that the alien just wants to go home. He just wants to go home. But Superman's like, look, you killed a lot of people. I can't just let you go. And the alien's like, what you want doesn't matter. I just want to go home. And Superman's not going to have that. Um, so that's one story. But also the other story involving is that Clark, as Superman in his disguise as Clark Kent, has, Lois Lane sisters in town, and he promises to show her sister around and everything. Like, he kind of stood her up before for not picking her up at the train station. He stood her up again, and he's making it up to her. And that's pretty much what it was. Um, but don't let the cover does that cover is pretty much what happens in the story as well. But Dan Jurgens tells a very good, lighthearted story of action, and looks like a friendship about to happen. Just a friendship, because we all know what's coming next week, right? With Clark and Diana, right? I think everybody should know what's coming next. All right, and the last DC book. Never mind the guy who's writing it. Teen Titans, number 12. Meet Diesel. If he can't have Wonder Girl's love, he'll take her power. Yeah, we see that Cassandra had a girlfriend, boyfriend, excuse me, and she's trapped inside her silent armor. We find a little bit more about the armor that she wears. It consumes her, and it gives her so much pain. And last issue, she beat the crap out of Kid Flash, Bunker, and Solstice, nearly killed them. So it's up to Tim and Connor, uh, Superboy, to kind of help her. And when they do think they helped her, we find out that um, her ex comes. His name is Diesel, and he wants the power. And like her, he's embraced the power. He has like a kind of armor like her, and he's gonna get her power as well, so to speak. And that's pretty much. And then she realizes that she has to get it back, because if not, end of the world. But other than that, the other story is the story that was going on in DC Presents number 12 that I reviewed last week. between Kid Flash and the dinosaur kids that came, and that was pretty interesting as well. But the next issue, of course, is a Zero issue, which we all, who are big Tim Drake fans, are all dreading. We all know. But the next issue is, but the issue 13 is to reveal more of Cassandra's backstory, like how she got the armor, everything like that. So that should be interesting as well. But despite the writer, like I said, despite the writer, this was pretty good. Okay, so that's all of DC. Let's move on to the Marvel. And I would go in alphabetical order, but I want to save the first hero for last, if you don't mind. So we're gonna go on from A to P. Punisher, number 14. Greg Rucka, still doing a fantastic job with Frank. So Frank and Rachel Coles here is still on the track of the Exchange, the organization known as the Exchange. The Exchange is a group of individuals that are made up of X, AIM, X, Hydra, X, you know, X, Black Spectre, all those criminal organizations in the Marvel Universe. That's what this group is made up of. And they're led by an ex-AIM scientist known as uh, Melissa Gerard, I believe that's her name. And pretty much Frank and Rachel, the woman that family was killed, her friends, her family, and her husband were killed on her wedding day by the Exchange, out for revenge to get the head of the snake in a way. They pretty much do. They get her. I'm going to spoil it. They do. They succeed their mission? Yes. But let's just say like this. When you cut the head off a Hydra, what happens to the Hydra? Grows another head, right? Yeah. But and the only way to kill a Hydra is you got to burn it. If you know anything about Greek mythology. So you got to burn it fully to the ground. But this was really good. Greg Rucka has still been doing a superb job with Punisher. Very good job. Alright, so we move on. Secret Avengers number 30. Rick Remender still does a good job on this book. The Max Fury and the robot. Hold on, the Max guys. Max Fury is the life model decoy that has become sentient. He looks like Nick Fury. He's leading the Shadow Council, but also he's made a bigger, huge version of the Masters of Evil, the all-new Masters of Evil. And he's after this artifact known as the Crown Wolf Jewels, the Crown Jewels of Wolf, or something like that. I'm forgetting the name. So the Secret Avengers sent Venom into this bar that pretty much where all the villains hang out, and he comes in contact with Taskmaster. So there's a battle between Venom and the Taskmaster in this. Hawkeye is telling, Valkyrie and everybody like that we can't go in because it'll blow Venom's cover, but it gets blown anyway. But without spoiling too much, things don't go all that well for Max Fury as well. But things kind of go right for Taskmaster in a way. Yeah. Still good, very good. Rick Remender still is doing a good job on this, and he knows how to write Venom. So yeah. All right. So in keeping with Venom, the first issue that Rick Remender's not a part of, Venom number 23. This is the first part of a story known as Monsters of Evil. Um, Cullen Bunn is on this book. His first reign. This was good. I really enjoyed it. Um, I really enjoyed Bunn's take on this. Basically, Flash is dealing. It gets more into demons and things like that, and he's fighting this organization known as the DOA. They're this group of Nazis, pretty much, that are all about bringing demonic, like devil worshippers as well. And when we talk about demons, you can't go no further because Venom takes on Damien Hellstrom in this. And it seems like Hellstrom has now embraced his demonic side of being the son of Satan. And there's a big fight between Venom and Damien Hellstrom. And he goes on talking about how Venom, Flash, and him are no different. We both carry monsters and things like that. And it gets really in depth into it. And really, the exchange between both of them was really, really good. I was really impressed at what Cullen Bunn did. But Celia's artwork was good too. But yeah, it ends on a cliffhanger, especially for Venom. But it was good. I was very impressed, very much impressed at what I got in this. So for the first issue, good job, in my opinion. Good job. Okay, next up, um, Wolverine number 312. First of all, Simone Blanchi artwork is very nice. I've always loved his artwork. It's very real, a bit of realism, and you know, it's like realism in painting, which is really good. Yeah, Jeff Loeb is the writer on this. This is still the story of Sabretooth returns. So what have we learned so far? Sabretooth is back. This gives the story of how he returned. Romulus is involved, we know. But now this redhead here is basically Remus, Romulus Romulus's twin sister, and she's just like her, her brother. She's got claws. She can heal. They show it. Her and Wolverine fall out of, because Wolverine's not really believing anything she says. So they fall out of a plane, the plane that they were in, and they crash over the Rocky Mountains. And I remember Wolverine basically saying, you know, we fall. I'm gonna survive, but what about you? And she's like, you think so? So when they fall over the Rocky Mountains, tumbling all over these jagged rocks and everything, he's cut up, he's healing, no problem. Next you know, he turns around and he sees Remus healing, and she's all scarred up and everything like that, and healing from it as well. So it kind of it's getting more in depth. But then it's this backstory that really bothers me, especially when he meets up with Romulus again. Romulus goes on to say this, that the Weapon X program was all Wolverine's idea. No way can I buy that. I can't buy that. And for Loeb to write that, get out of here. No way can I buy that. I cannot buy the fact that Wolverine, the whole Weapon X program, was Wolverine's idea. He's not the victim here. I cannot buy that. That's BS right there. I cannot buy that. But other than that, you know, on this story, because Wolverine just went through Sabretooth, no problem. It's I don't know why it's called Sabretooth Reborn. It should be just Romulus Reborn or something. Strikes Again or something like that. No way can I buy that. But I do like the fact that Wolverine says, I'm a sucker for beer and redheads. Wolverine and redheads. Look at his track history. Most of his girlfriends or lovers were people he loved. What were the color of their hair? Red. Okay. Next up, X-Men Legacy number 272, Christoph Gage. So as we know, Rogue is in an alien dimension. That's where Magic Center. It's kind of sucks, but yeah. Rogue was with a group. She's in between like a war now between this insect group called the Hive and these like cat-like creatures called the Verre. Um, she gets kidnapped by the insect people and taken to them and shown to the Queen. And they've been trying to like indoctrinate her, like, and Rogue has been fighting it. She's been able to knock it off very quickly. So the Queen comes along and tries to do the same thing. Like they put their hands in like this little like piercing stinger comes out and goes into your head, and the Queen starts to show her all this stuff, and the Queen thinks it's helping, like Rogue is becoming one with the Hive, but Rogue's like, Sugar, I've had people in my head for years. I know how to fight that. And she shows that what all the stuff that the Hive Queen and everything like that has been saying is a lie. This war is built on a lie. And it's crazy because the Queen touched her. So, she used her power, so it's kind of cool. But still, Christoph Gage knows how to write Rogue, no doubt about it. Very good story. Um, and I can't wait to see how this story ends. And we know Rogue gets home somehow because she's going to be a part of the Uncanny Avengers team. So, which I am looking forward to as well. So yeah, X-Men Legacy 272. Now, like I said, guys, I saved this hero for last. He's my #1 hero of all time. Um, and yeah, congratulations, Amazing Spider-Man. I got one of the variant covers, the '80s variant cover um, of Amazing Spider-Man 692. Congratulations, Spider-Man and Marvel, 50 years. Even though I haven't been reading him for all those years, but 50 years is a big thing. And let's see, we go for another 50, right? All right. So the main story is the beginning of the kid known as Andy Maguire. Really, Marvel? Right, yeah, really. That's a good name for a kid who is known as Alpha. The story is written by Dan Slott, artist by Hugo Ramos. I'm not a big fan of his artwork. Sorry, that's just me. Roberto Ramos's artwork is not. I can tolerate his more than I can tolerate Chris Bacchio's artwork. Um, so basically, the story is basically deja vu. It was basically reading Amazing Fantasies number 15 with a twist. That's pretty much what it was. Andy Maguire is this kid who he's not a geek, he's not a nerd, he's not this, he's just there. And his parents don't really pay too much attention to him because they got their own lives. And even when he goes to experiment, he goes to a field trip, and Peter Parker is given an experiment on how he's created these Parker particles. What happens is there's an accident, and you should know what happens there. but the accident is caused by one of the, I guess, one of the scientists there. He causes it. When I read it again, I was like, I thought it was just a freak accident that happened, but then I read it again, and I was like, oh shoot, that punk right there caused it. Um, because of the fact that now that Morbius is in jail, there's an opening spot now on a think tank, and I guess he wants it, and Mr. Modell was like, you're not getting it. But it's pretty much just, Peter realizing that, and Mr. Fantastic going on talking about this Andy is an alpha level superhero basically, and that's how he gets his name and everything like that. And he goes, and Peter wants to help. He feels responsible, as always. We all know that Peter, when something happens, when Peter's watch, he feels responsible, right? So he feels responsible that he caused it. It happened to this kid, but he starts to realize that this kid is way different than him. While when he was in high school, he hid his powers away. He was Andrew is basically being the opposite of him, kind of being a jerk about it. He's bullying people, he's giving it to the bullies and everything like that. He needs, and that's kind of how this kind of sidekick thing happens. But it's the ending of the villain that seems to going to get involved in it that kind of like, oh, come on. Like, I'm not going to, let me just say that, let me just put it like this. The villain that's going to get involved in it is, his name starts with a J. And we saw him in a previous story arc not too long ago. And I'm like, really, Marvel? Come on. This guy again? You know? But other than that, the other stories were pretty good. There was another story that seemed to take place right after, remember the Spider-Man No More story, which was really good. That was really a touching, good story. And then the other story was really kind of a story of having fun and with Peter and things like that. But the main story was good. All the other stories were really good. I'm not really concerned too much on the price tag of it being $5.99. It's just, it's a special occasion for Spider-Man. I get it. 50 years, been that long, but he's not the only Marvel hero that's celebrating 50 years. Um, Thor is also celebrating it as well. But yeah, I did enjoy it. I was just a little bit like, Marvel, you could have came up with a better name for the kid. I mean, Andy Maguire, really. The story was too much like Amazing Fantasies 15, but I guess that's what they were kind of going for with this, to celebrate the 50 years when Spidey first appeared. I get it, but other than that, it was still interesting. It's just that the villain that's coming, come on, seriously. But yeah, I got the variant cover because they go from the different decades, the 70s, the 60s, and I picked up the 80s variant cover, which to me I thought was cool. Okay, so there you have it, guys. My review. I hope you guys enjoyed it. As always, tell me what you guys picked up and what you thought about. And as always, um, just give me your input, guys. As always, I'm looking forward to it. But other than that, this is Marvel Kid saying peace and love. Stay tuned. Keep it real, guys. I will see you guys next week, God willing, as always, for the next episode, as always. And if anything, if anybody wants to know with the hair, yeah, I got a mohawk, guys. Yeah, you can take a look. Yeah, I got the hawk. But other than that, you guys take care.